Who do you expect to be the first 3 wide receivers against Utah State? Burton is obviously the #1 guy from reports I've read. Thanks, Thomas, for the question. Clint, you go first.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Jermaine Burton. I think you're going to see Traeshon Holden. I think you're going to see Kobe Prentice. I think it's exactly how, the depth chart looks. Now, granted, it is possible that Ja'Cory Brooks could be out there for that first snap. I just think that would be kind of a weird thing to do after you've made kind of this big, bold announcement, which was putting Kobe Prentice in the starting lineup on your depth chart, and that's a huge talking point, and then he doesn't technically start on Saturday. That would be strange, but it's certainly possible. But I think those 4 guys are the 4 main ones you're going to see. You might see some Christian Leary. You might see some Tyler Harrell. I don't know exactly how much he's progressed. We do know that he is moving in the right direction. That's certainly encouraging. But at the same time, if you got 4 quality receivers that you can kind of rely on, guys that are going to bring different skill sets, you bring more of the size aspect with a Traeshon Holden and a Ja'Cory Brooks, and then you're also bringing, more of a guy who can. I think Kobe Prentice. When you look at his skill set, and I talked about this earlier, I think you get a guy who can play inside and out. I think he can win at all 3 levels of the field. You can send him vertically from, whether it be as a perimeter receiver or from the slot. I don't know how much they'll allow him to do of that early on. He's a true freshman. It's his first game, but I do think that he's certainly capable. And if he's not doing it early, I think you start seeing him get moved around a little bit more as the year progresses. But I would go with Burton, I'd go with Prentice, and then I'd go with Traeshon Holden as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on. And I'm really glad to see Traeshon Holden. There's Ja'Cory Brooks, #7 right there. But Traeshon Holden finally getting some love. I think he's one of the guys that is put in that time. And I think it was just a matter of time till he really kind of showed out. And we saw him show out. It was in that second scrimmage, right, Clint, when he went for like over 200 yards reportedly or whatever. A lot of people forget this, and maybe they don't know this, but this is kind of an insider nugget. But I believe when Bryce Young, I think it was the first or second year that he got here, because I think Bryce, check this out. Bryce, the first roommate that he had, this is amazing, this is by design, was Devontae Smith, right? So like the mama mentality was being passed on. I think it's like, it's so genius. Whoever was like, okay, Devontae Smith, you are rooming with Bryce Young. So you could learn and be groomed by one of the greatest wide receivers in college football, right? But I think at some point, Bryce and Traeshon Holden were roommates. I'll have to double check on that. But point is, they have continuity. They have that cohesiveness that you need from a quarterback or a wide receiver, right? If you played football out there, there's no better friends than a quarterback and a wide receiver, usually, right? If they're both not prima donnas, which is, usually sometimes the case. With that said, I think you're right, though, Clint. So you have Traeshon Holden, Jermaine Burton. It looks like Jermaine Burton is certainly going to be that guy that we expect him to be from that transfer portal. I mean, he's been really making waves, being that vet that Alabama certainly needed. And then Kobe Prentice has been a welcomed addition from that freshman room. And you got to think it's because of a couple injuries. And that's not saying anything negative about Kobe Prentice, but Aaron Anderson, right? JoJo Earl. So then in steps Kobe Prentice. And when your name is called, you have to be ready. And that's something that Nick Saban always preaches. And he just talked about this on Monday about entitlement. Like, no one is entitled to anything. And I love that approach. Like, you have to work for every single thing that you get.